Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Victoria Nibeli, and this is another office hour with me. So in today's class, I'm going to be answering some questions I got, right? So I'm going to just give answers to some questions I got. Before I proceed, thank you, Isaka, for joining the call. I have Isaka on the call with me. He's a fellow mentor. And yeah, we're going to have a wonderful class today. So the first question I'll be addressing today is this: how will Replit be used in the program, right? So somebody sent a question on the form asking about the usage of Replit in the program. So I already explained the difference between Replit and CodePen and why it will be important, but I'm going to take that again because I got that questions like repeatedly. So I'm just going to explain this using the Replit website. So yeah, this is the Replit website. I opened one the other time to explain things. So I'm just going to open that up. And then I'm also going to open CodePen. Isakwa, please confirm you can hear me clearly. Okay, so this is CodePen, right? So this is CodePen. As you can see, this is a CodePen interface, and it just it has one HTML file, one CSS file, and one JavaScript file. This is for CodePen. CodePen only allows you to create a single page website. If you want to create multiple websites, multiple pages website, and you want to use the CodePen platform, it's so stressful. It is like, it works well with just a one-page website, right? Just a web page, I mean. So if I want to create just a web page, like the assignment given to you all, you can just use the CodePen, and that's what we actually required of you, to use the CodePen. But for Replit, so how it will be used in this program, right? So we gave you an assignment to use Replit to write something like a mini essay, right, on what front end is and why you chose this part. That's what we asked of you. That's a single page work, right? You can just easily use Replit, type in what you want to type here. Anything you type here reflects down here, right? When you save it, it reflects down here, just as seen. So you can just use this easily for that one-page assignment, as we asked, just like what we asked you guys to do. But when it comes to multiple pages assignments, this is actually going to be very stressful to use. So for this program, right, apart from the fact that we're going to be using VS Code and we're going to be using VS Code and Git for you to push your work and then send up your GitHub link, the link to your repo. Apart from that, before we start using Git, we're actually going to make use of Replit, right? Replit actually allows you to create multiple pages. Replit allows you to create multiple pages. So you can see here that I have index.html. The way Replit works, there must be an index.html file. If I change this index.html to something else, let's say I change it to victoria.html, as far as there is no index.html file here, Replit will not work. So the index.html file must be there at least. Then other files, other additional files that you want to add, you can name it whatever name you want to, whatever name you like, just like the way I named this one, vic.html, right? But you see this one here, index.html, it is very, very important for Replit to work. So this is what I mean. Like I said, CodePen is just this, everything you type here appears here. right? But for Replit now, as you can see, I have an extra HTML file here. So let's say we have not like properly introduced you all to HTML, but based on this question, based on the questions that was asked, right, I'm just going to explain a bit to help you guys understand why Replit is actually different from CodePen and why we're still going to use it in this program. So let's say, for example, in HTML, we have tags. We have what we call tags, right? Everything in HTML is all about tags. You understand? So let's say, for example, I want to write I want to create an heading in my web page, and then I name this heading let's say about Victoria. This is my heading, right? If I Ctrl S now, if I save that, it appears here, right? I can see the output of my work here, and this is just a one pager, right? If I click on this arrow here, it will open on a separate tab. So I have this heading here, I am Victoria, I am about Victoria. So assume now that I want to navigate to another page, right? Let's say this page is all about Victoria, and then I want another page that talks about, let's say my resume, right? This page is also about Victoria, like introducing Victoria, and then I want another page about my resume. So let's say I'm just going to come here. I cannot do what I'm about to do right now in CodePen. So for me to do it here, I'm just going to link the HTML file to this current file. So yeah, I have vic.html. So yeah, I have vic.html, right? I have vic.html. So I can just, yeah, now this is an HTML file. So definitely I have to have my HTML environment, like my HTML, I have to type in an HTML environment. Just going to take it, so that's just a comment. So let me just copy this. This way. Just copy this. Right, I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here. So I'm just going to close this. So sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to close this here and close my. So we have I didn't copy this well, so I'm just going to take that again. It's supposed to have the doc type, everything completely like this. So just copy and paste it here. But I'm not going to be needing this. It's not. Yeah. So I have here, I'm just going to put a paragraph tag here, right? That says, this is my resume, right? So I want this page now. This is my page. This is my current page, right? So I want to be able to link, I want to be able to navigate to another page from this page, right? So I'm just, since I have my HTML document, my extra HTML file here, I'm just going to connect this HTML file to this current file, right? And how am I going to do that? So let me say I have a paragraph here, and I'm just going to type in between, click here to see my resume, right? So in this year now, right, I'm asking them to click here. So I'm actually going to put a link here that links the individual to the vic.html file. So if I put to link it, I'm going to, we use the anchor tag to link HTML documents, right? So I'm just going to take out this here and put it in between the A. And then when you get to HTML, you understand fully what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to explain to you all what I mean by linking a doc to another doc. So we have a here, and we have an attribute called href, right? And I'm just going to put in the Vic. You can see here that it's actually suggesting. So I'm just going to click this, and we have that. So if I save this now, I should have the, see now I have click here to see my resume. So let's open this fully. Just going to refresh this. Please, if your screen is blurry, kindly increase your video quality in your own device, right? Increase the quality. So you can see that I have click here to see my resume. So if I click here now, it's now going to take me to this page that says, this is my resume. So this is actually something that you cannot do with CodePen, right? You cannot do it with CodePen. If there's a way to do it with CodePen, it is actually very, very difficult to do, because CodePen just gives you this environment to create a one pager. So please increase it. If your screen, looking at your screen, the video on your screen, right? Click on settings, because I'm also watching myself on live stream using my other device, and this is actually very, very clear. If you cannot see my what I'm doing, click on the settings button in your device. In the YouTube video, click on the settings there and increase the quality to maybe 720. Increase the quality so that you can see properly. If you're not seeing it clearly, it's actually not from my device, it's actually from your own device. So you want to use the settings to adjust the quality of the video you're watching, right? So that's it. So that's something that CodePen cannot do, but Replit can do it. And with time, we're going to be giving you all assignment that requires more work, right? Assignments that requires you to, build something with multiple pages, right? So before we start using Git, you're going to use Replit, right? So you just, have an understanding of how this online IDEs work. So that is how we are going to be using Replit in this program. I hope I answered that question very well. So the next question says, the person asks what really is the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So the video we released actually explained this very well, but if you're still asking, I'm just going to assume that you've watched the video and you still do not understand the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. First of all, HTTP and HTTPS is actually the language that is used to communicate across the web, right? When you actually search something on Google, or just the way I actually typed in CodePen.io, I am actually requesting for this site, right? I am requesting for this. So when you type in that on your browser has to fetch what you are asking for from a particular server, right? The way the browser actually fetches what you're asking for from the server is through the HTTP language, right? HTTP actually fully means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. It is just a language that is understood by browsers and web servers. So when you actually search on Google, I am looking for pictures of rice, right? Google actually tells the server containing these pictures that I'm looking for rice using HTTP, right? So that is the transfer protocol used to communicate or pass information across the web. That is why any single website you see, any single URL you see, you must see the prefix HTTP or HTTPS, right? Because all URL uses the hypertext transfer protocol to communicate. So I'm using Canva for my presentation, right? I use Canva to make my slides, if that's what you're asking about. So yeah, so the difference now between HTTP and HTTPS, you can see here that for this, my presentation, you can see that you can see the HTTPS prefix in front of this URL. You can see the HTTPS prefix in front of this URL, and then you can see a padlock symbol. That just simply means that I am using a secured site. It means that I am using a website that is secured, right? And then there are some other websites that have the HTTP only without the S. It means that those websites are not secured. They're not considered secured for your personal information, right? They're not considered secured. Right now, I cannot get a website that uses HTTP because HTTP is actually, everyone is actually abandoning it. People are switching to HTTPS since HTTPS is actually more secured. And when it comes to Google, websites that are not using HTTPS, right? Google do not actually give priority to their websites. So when you search on Google, for something, it's actually, if you search on Google, the websites that actually pops up first are websites that are HTTPS prefixed, websites that are secured. So what really is the difference between HTTPS and HTTP? So HTTP, first of all, is not secured. The language between the browser and the web server is the HTTP. Yes, we know that, but it is not secured in the sense that this communication is done in plain text, right? This communication is done in plain text. So when you are sending something over the web, let's say you are in a bank website, right? And you want to log in. When you are logging in, you're putting in your details, right? It is the communication between the browser and the web server is actually done in plain text. It's done in plain text. So let's say you are in a banking website and you want to buy something, right? You are purchasing something. Now, when you put in your card details, these details are transferred over the web in plain text. So if a bad actor wants to get your details, or let's say a hacker wants to get your details, it is actually very, very easy because this hacker can, peep into the web and just get your details as it is being transferred because it is in plain text, and hackers are human beings. They can understand plain text, or whatever machine that they're using. They're going to understand the plain text. So they can just easily steal your information. So this actually makes websites that are using HTTP not secured for critical, confidential information, right? Confidential information, it is not secured. And then HTTP is actually, but HTTPS is actually secured, right? The S in front of the HTTP means secured, right? How does it work? HTTPS is secured in the sense that the information you are putting into the web, it's actually transferred to the web browser. It's actually transferred to the web server in encrypted language, right? So when I send my details, let's say I'm sending my card details over the web. I'm filling in my card details on a website, right? This information, after filling it into the website, this information would pass to the web server as an encrypted message. That is, encrypted message actually messages that you cannot understand, messages that are not making sense to humans, right? Messages that do not make sense to humans. So maybe, for example, an encrypted message, let's say I send something like Victoria over the web. Let's say Victoria, right? This message now, when it is being passed over the web, it will be something that doesn't make sense to the human eyes, right? It may be something like this, something that doesn't make sense. Sure you get. So if the hacker is trying to get your information over the web, the hacker sees something like this and is like, he doesn't understand. So he cannot use your details against you, right? If the hacker is like trying to get your details, the hacker may be able to see the size of your information, the size of your data that you are passing across, be able to get some ideas. But the main message, the main information, like your credit card or whatever information you are passing over the web, the hacker will not be able to understand it because it has been encrypted and it is in a form that humans cannot understand, right? The only way an hacker can decipher the encrypted text is if the hacker has the private key to unlock the encrypted text. This is what I mean by private key, right? So in HTTPS, we have the communication between the browser and the web server, right? So the browser tells the web server, I need this. The web server receives the message and then sends the browser what the browser needs. Now in HTTP, this is done in plain language, plain English that we all can understand. But in HTTPS, the message that the browser wants to send will be encrypted with a public key. There's a public key and a private key. Actually, when it comes to HTTPS, there are two ways to encrypt the message. We have the TLS, and the SSL, right? So we have the TSL, the TLS, and the SSL. The SSL simply means secure socket layer, right? Secure socket layer. While the TLS means transport layer security. So these are the two cryptographic protocols used to encrypt the messages that are being sent over the web. So the way it works for SSL is actually kind of different from TSL, but they basically work to protect your information being transferred over the web. So for SSL, the way it works, the browser actually have a public key, right? A public key, and the web server have a private key, right? So this private key that the web server have is to be used to unlock the message from the browser, while the public key that the browser have is to be used to encrypt the message that the browser is sending to the web server, right? So the way it works, before the browser sends the message to the web server, the browser actually produces something called a section key. The browser produces something called a section key. So this section key plus the public key together encrypts the message. So when the browser sends Victoria over to the web server, it is now going as blah, 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 something that humans cannot understand due to the public key and the section key. So when this message is sent to the web server, the web server now unlocks this message using the private key. So when it gets to the web server unlocks it, it decrypts it so that it can be understood by the web server. And then the web server knows, oh, okay, this is what you want from me. And then the web server sends the information back, but this time it's encrypted again using the section key, right? And then when it gets to the browser, the section key, the browser also decrypts it to get the information using the section key and then uploads it for us to see, right? This process is actually very, very fast. It's very, very fast, you understand? So what is involved in the SSL protocol is the section key and the public key, while the web server have the private key that will be used to decrypt the message, right? So for all this to happen, web browser actually have secured certificates, which is as a result of the HTTPS, right? They have secured certificates to enable the web server know that this is a secured site requesting information from them, right? So when it comes to the TLS protocol, the TLS protocol still like protects information, but it's actually less secured than the SSL protocol, in the sense that the SSL protocol involves a public key and a private key, right? So two different keys. But the transfer layer security protocol actually involves just one common key. The key that the web server have is actually the same, equal to the key that the browser has, understand? So they're using the same key to encrypt and decrypt, right? So it is less safe in the sense that somebody can just easily get the one key that both the server and the browser are using, and then hack the website and get information, right? Hack the transfer of information and get sensitive information, right? So that is actually how the HTTPS protocol, how HTTPS works, right? So now, because the HTTPS involves cryptography, right, it is actually less lighter than the HTTP, because HTTP does not require cryptography. HTTP does not require cryptography. It is just there, right? HTTP does not require cryptography. It is just there, plain text. So it is actually faster when you're using HTTP websites compared to when you're using HTTPS, because it involves cryptography. You get to encrypt and decrypt, but that is between the browser and the web server. So it's actually kind of slower compared to HTTP. And then we have that HTTP is almost abandoned, because who wants to use a website that is not secured? Why would I choose a website that is not secured over a website that is secured? It makes no sense. So websites that are using HTTP alone are actually abandoned. People are leaving those websites for websites that uses HTTP, because everybody wants their data and information to be secured. So somebody just asked in the chat box if it is the responsibility of the front-end developer to decrypt and encrypt message. So it is not you that is encrypting and decrypting the message, right? You use a service for all this. Just the way you get your domain and everything, you make sure that your website is also secured, right? You secure the website, you follow the processes to make sure that your website is using the HTTPS by getting the secured certificate for websites, right? There are processes for all that. So, but the encryption and decryption is done by the technology behind it, the SSL and the TLS. So it's just for you to make sure that you follow due processes to ensure that your website is using the right prefix. So that is it. So yeah, I think I've explained so well what HTTPS and HTTP means, the differences between them. And then the last question says, will you fail the CodePen assignment if, okay, this is supposed to be you. So will you fail the CodePen assignment if you do it without using the HTML structure, right? So just the way we have the HTML structure here, we have the doc type HTML, the HTML tag, the edge section, the body section, and the likes. This is actually very, very cool to have in your assignment. But if you do not put this in your CodePen, because you can see, as you can see clearly, CodePen does not come with the HTML structure, right? It does not come with it. In fact, according to, from last cohort, right? From last cohort, some people said that if you put in the HTML structure, that when they put in the HTML structure, they get an error message, right? So let's just copy this and place in there and see what happens. So this is the CodePen. I'm just going to paste this here. So you can see that I'm getting an error. Just HTML that goes in here. Like just this place is already an HTML environment, right? So first of all, the Replit accounts, the Replit website, they already made it possible for you to type in and everything displays in HTML format without you putting the HTML structure, right? If you go ahead to ignore the error message and put in the HTML structure, fine and okay, we understand that, okay, yeah, you actually understand the HTML structure, which is actually nice to have, right? But if you do not put in the HTML structure, right? If you do not put in the HTML structure and you just type why I love front end. So if you just put in that and you type in your essay, whatever you have, right? Why you love front-end engineering, why you chose the path. If you just put it in here, type it like that, you're still going to get your full mark, even if you don't put the HTML structure. And that is because we have not introduced you all properly to HTML. So anything you submit without the HTML structure is actually okay based on the curriculum we are following. So we are just introducing guys to front end and we have not gone fully into HTML. So if you have submitted your assignment to start putting the HTML structure, you have nothing to worry about. You're going to still get your full mark. If you submitted the assignment and you use the HTML structure, good and fine. That is still very much okay, right? So yeah, that is actually it for the CodePen assignment. So you're good to go. So somebody is asking, if a website was initially created using HTTP, can it be edited to HTTPS? Of course, there can be a swap. Before HTTPS came into existence, all websites were using HTTP. But now this website have moved from HTTP to HTTPS, meaning that there is actually a process to change your website from HTTP to HTTPS. So it is very, very much possible, right? And Google has actually made it very, very important. Google is actually penalizing sites. You know, Google is a search engine and it's, you know, pops up different sites for you to get information from. So they're even penalizing websites that do not use the HTTPS, right? Telling them to change to HTTPS, right? To adopt the SSL protocol, right? And that is because it is possible for it to be changed, right? So somebody is asking if this is an assignment for Cohort 2. Yes, Cohort 2 started since last week, right? It started even before last week because we sent out invites and we invited you guys to the LMS. It started since the first time you got the invite to the LMS, right? And this assignment I'm talking about is for Cohort 2. Please do well to check the LMS for the assignment questions and every important post. Slack is also good, but for you to not miss any up-to-date information, for you to not miss any updates or any information, you have to make sure that you are following up with the LMS, because the LMS will be the first place we'll post updates or information before even thinking about Slack. Slack is more of a community, for students to interact with each other, right? Mentors will also be there. We'll also so my network took me out. Are you there? Okay. So sorry about that, guys. So yeah, so the LMS is actually for every single thing important. So I did not. What of the videos? The resources, right? The resources for every single resource that you will need is in the LMS. So the resources for this assignment has been posted on the LMS. Do registered for your course, right? Check your LMS and you are going to see the information you are looking for. How do we join the LMS, Ma? So the LMS, you're supposed to have your, the LMS actually, the website, the link is just w2zuriboard.com. So you should have gotten an invite to the LMS, right? Following the invite or using the link. When you come here, I actually have this because I am logged in. So just like every other website, to register your course or log in with your details if you still have. So somebody asked when and where was this ongoing office hour posted? For every track in the cohort. And you're supposed to add that calendar to your own calendar so you, right? Or you're supposed to look at the calendar and see the office hours of mentors, right? So from the calendar, this office hour is 5 p.m., right? So please do well to check the calendar and follow through with it.
Hi,
Isiaka.
yeah. Okay, I just want to make mention of something and that I saw in the comments. Can you address, some people are saying that the tax is closing and they have not been graded, blah, blah, blah. So they will know that they can always be graded at.
Okay, thank you. So for the tax, right, like I said, so for the tax deadline does not have anything to do with the grading, right? You can submit your assignments. You can submit your assignment. Doesn't mean that you will not be graded, right? We are still grading. As you can see, we have about 61,000 submitted tax, and we have graded like 32,000. There are so many people in this cohort continuously without stop, right? We're grading continuously without stop. So be rest assured that your assignment will be graded, right? It will be graded. Even if the tax has expired, that does not have anything to do with the grading. As far as you make sure you submit your tax, it will be graded. Your tax will be graded. You don't have anything to worry about. Seka, is there any other thing you want to bring to? So we're going to go into start HTML. From HTML, we'll move to CSS. We'll have a little bit of React.
Yeah, I'm back. A call entered and disrupt my network. So I guess you got my question.
Yeah, I got the question and I just explained to them.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Line. Live stream, please and please, you guys have to still remember that the sending another form by next week, once next week resources have been sent out. Attended to in this class are from the form, right? I will always attend to time. I will now look at the live chat from the live to you. Kindly use the form I sent out. So I'm just going to look through because I have some. There's another class, right? And I don't want to, disrupt the class. So we're going to go videos on the Zurich page. So from what I've there's any question. Get the private key. I am not a hacker myself, but they should have their tools or websites or get the private key. They should have their technology for it, but I am not a hacker, so I can't give when it comes to hacking, there's also something called website stripping, right? So website stripping, if you're not careful, direction of pages, right? When you click on when you are logged into a site and then you want to maybe you click on something in the site, they now redirect you to another page, right? This redirection process, hackers can take advantage of it, right? So when they even when you are redirected to a site, to another site, you want to still confirm that the site is using HTTPS, because hackers may play with that and get you to a wrong site, or you may even be redirected to a site that is using HTTP and you will not notice because you're coming from a site that is using HTTPS, right? So hackers have their ways of doing things. I'm not a hacker myself, but all these things. So you just have to be careful as a user, right? You have to be careful. Look at the prefix in front of the URL you're using. So Iseka, do you have anything to contribute to the class?
No, not at all. I think we have been having repetitive question, and hopefully this week everyone will be on the same page, and we prepare for next week. So I don't have for now.
Okay, so without any question, I've checked the chat box and I am so happy to see that, okay, we have fewer questions, which means that you guys are doing well. You guys are understanding the resources better and you guys are attempting your assignments better. I am so proud of you all. And to be honest, we are so proud that you actually took the bold step to, get a career in tech. It's actually a very, very great one. And we encourage you all to, keep up the good work, keep on learning more. And also, please know that you're not restricted to research more, read wide, and the likes, right? Thank you so much for joining my class. I hope to see you in the next class, and I hope the class is a blast. Thank you so much for attending. See you next time. Don't forget to use the form for further questions. Thank you. Thank you, Isaka, for joining the call. So I'm just going to end this right now.
Okay, thank you everyone. Bye. Okay.